This is an HR program on demand, a living seed capsule of work life and workplace coming live from a rooftop in Stockholm, Sweden. It's me, Ann-Marie Andrich, and
me, Katarina Berg.
A vodcast, if you like, on HR, straight across the counter. Sponsored by HR The Real Deal, HR by HR for HR. Hi, Alex.
Hi.
Welcome to our very beautiful rooftop.
Thank
It's windy again. It is cloudy, but you're the star and you're the sunshine. So I'm very happy that you're here.
I appreciate it. I'm blushing a bit.
We are going to do a retro on the Work From Anywhere program at Spotify that you launched a year ago.
Yeah.
You obviously introduce yourself in a sec, but you are, in addition to your ordinary work that you do, your normal work at Spotify, you are the mastermind and co-creator of the Work From Anywhere program that you and Anna Lundström co-created together, right?
Yes, and a bunch of other people were part of the work.
Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge that as well, but yeah.
Yeah. And we had the pleasure of having Anna last year walking us through the whys and the whats and the hows of the program. So it's going to be very interesting to have this conversation with you now a year later to see, what has happened, what are the learnings and so forth, right? But before that, please tell us, who are you and what do you do at Spotify?
I am Alex, father of three, and I head up HR for one of our business units, Consumer. And as you pointed out, I co-led the Working From Anywhere program together with Anna and a bunch of other people that created this thing together, which has been maybe the most fun thing that I've done throughout my time at Spotify.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
So why don't we, before we do that retro and go into the learnings, why don't we just do a short recap of what is the Work From Anywhere program? What is it?
It's basically our take on the future of work, how people work in the future. And we started to have the conversation 5 years ago. Daniel, our CEO, wanted to add more flexibility into how people work and are employed by employers. And we felt that we weren't really there yet. We needed to have a stronger leadership stance as an organization. We needed to be more grounded as an organization. We needed to have a more clear culture, which we managed to build over the last few years. And then the pandemic hit, so we had to accelerate everything, of course. People went home overnight, and we had to start to talk about what does this mean in practice then? What will we do when people start to come back? And we realized that it works really well to have people work from home or work from other locations. We make it work, productivity is the same, people are happy, they are engaged. We continue to innovate, ship new products, expand into new markets and everything. So let's keep that. And it was very clear that people wanted flexibility. No one wanted to go back to a 5-day in the office all time setup. And most people didn't want to work from home full time either. And a bunch of people have relocated for their work with us, and they started to indicate that they wanted to move home. And we also realized that we had some growing pains as an organization, so we saw this as an opportunity to standardize and streamline our ways of working. Like, if we can ignore where people are, if we can ignore that people aren't meeting physically or that people are meeting physically, what will that look like? Right. So we deep dived into this, allowed people to have flexibility from where they work, what country, what location, if they are in an office or not, and so on. And we gave the choice to our people.
So you have the home mix and the office mix, right?
Yes.
So you choose.
You choose, but it doesn't mean that you have to work from the office all the time or from home. It's more an indicator for us so we can plan. We want to make sure that the office experience is great, so we need to have a sense of how many is in the office, so there's enough space. We need to understand the needs of the people in the office as well, so they can have a great experience working with people that's not in the office. And similarly, we need to help our people that's working from home, so supporting them with desks and chairs and lamps and those type of things. So it's more an indicator, and you can change if you feel that you want to change, and that's fine.
And how do you change? How do you do that, and how often can you change?
You apply, we've set a time limit to 12 months, so you need to commit to 12 months, and it's for logistical reasons. If we're going to ship desks and chairs across the globe, it needs to be sustainable, and we need to be able to plan office spaces and things like that. So after 12 months you can change. We've also now initially said that you have to stay within the region, so we've broken the world into 3 regions: Americas, EMEA, and JPAC. And the reason for that is we still haven't nailed how to work in this new world. And we do know that adding more time zones into teams will increase complexity in how they collaborate and how they work together. Right. So by ensuring that you stay within your region, we reduce the complexity that we introduce so we can learn how to work in this new world. Then the aim is still to open up and offer a global program where people can move to any country, any region they want to, basically.
Right. But smart to do it stepwise.
I think so, yeah. It's so much that's changing, and then we can learn as we go, we can measure, we can tweak the program as well. It's a lot harder to pull it back. Right. So we're starting big. Yeah. I think this is a big change, but it's some control in the chaos as well.
Right. Great, thank you for that sort of recap. Were there any sort of misunderstandings when you launched the program that you had to clarify a few times, or?
There were a few, mostly outside the company, to be honest. And many talked about having to introduce flexibility, giving people a choice to decide how they work, but no one really decided how to do that. So companies set the direction, we're moving in this direction, but it wasn't clarity on how to do it. So a bunch of other companies and people outside of Spotify assume that we're going all remote and we're downsizing our offices. Right. That isn't true. We still believe in the office experience. We still believe that people need to get together. Something happens when you and I meet. There's this spark and this energy.
Oh, it does, Alex.
It does. And we need to keep that. And I think it's crucial to have those moments where you can build trust and build relationships to be able to be successful when you don't meet in person. So we still encourage that. So that was a big misconception. Another one was that we break the organization into two and have like one remote organization and one physical organization. That's not true either. We've disconnected how we work from where you work from, basically. So there were a few misunderstandings out there.
That you had to clarify, but mostly outside of the company.
Mostly outside of the company, yeah.
Okay, good. So let's move inside the company now. How has it been now? So a year in to the work from anywhere. What have been the learnings? What have you reflected upon? What is the experience?
I think the first learning was it's better to act than to wait. And we acted fairly quickly. So we were still in the middle of the pandemic. We didn't know when the world would open up. But by acting and launching the program, we could give people predictability. We could give people a sense of what's going to happen in the future once the world opens up. And everything was uncertain at the time, right? When will schools open? When can I start to use public transportation? When can I stop using my mask? Like, all of that. So the more clarity we could add, the more people could have something to hold on to. So that was the biggest learning. Acting and doing something and telling everyone that we don't know everything yet is better than just pausing and not doing anything. So that was a big learning. We haven't been able to evaluate the program fully yet, because one of the risks that we see is how do we avoid creating two groups of people, the out-of-office group and the in-office group, because some prefer one over the other. Right. But we just recently opened the office. So now is the time to start to measure that and evaluate that and tweak the program itself. Yeah. Another learning is that there's a bunch of like unintended consequences of how you set up a program and things that we didn't think about. And one was, for instance, we got feedback from our organization that we're incentivizing people to choose home mix, because people choosing home mix gets desks and chairs and those type of things. And they need that, even though they're going to be in the office, they need equipment at home. So we've had to invest time in understanding how can we tweak the program to offer a good working from home experience for people that still choose us to be in the office the majority of the time. So we've ensured that we're a bit more flexible when it comes to IT equipment. We haven't done that when it comes to desks and chairs yet, but we'll have to look into that. So there's a few unintended consequences as well.
Yeah, but I really like the fact that you're saying, your first thing, it's better to act than to wait. Yeah. And also I think when you were saying, you were also clear about saying we haven't figured out everything yet. We will do that. We will learn as we go. And I think just that clarity, and it seems like it also touches to your culture, right? Learning, growing, and failing, and then learning from that, right?
And doing it together. We just recently sent out a survey to 2,500 of our people, asking them about how things are going, ways of working, crowdsourcing, activities that they've done within their team or between teams, on how they plan and execute on work, on how they create a sense of belonging. And then we aggregate those and then we incorporate them in our culture, our ways of working, in our playbooks, so people can learn from each other. So we're in this together as an organization, and we all want it to work for everyone. So
exactly. Did you get the result yet?
not yet. We're still analyzing it.
Okay.
We just got the survey back. So that's another
we
VOD.
will invite you back and you'll share with us because I think that will be super interesting for you.
It will, definitely. But there's a few more anecdotal learnings that people have made. So when I speak with managers, they've come to the conclusion it's difficult if one person on the team is in one mix, like office or home, and the rest is in the other, or if one person from the team is in a different time zone and all the other ones are in the same time zone. So the conclusion from managers is lean into this and ensure that there's a diversity of setups as well, because then it's a lot easier for everyone to relearn and change how they work and communicate and collaborate, versus if everyone is in the office. It's hard to break those old patterns. There is a few tips and tricks, and also being more deliberate in, okay, so how do we then engage with each other? How do we run meetings? How do we connect? What tools do we use? And those type of things. So like structure, standardization, ensuring that people understand and have expectations on how to work together and communicate.
Right. Excellent. Have you supported your managers in a special way through, or entering into this new ways of working?
We did. So we approached, we had like three main work streams. So one was the program itself. What would it look like? The other one was from a learning and development perspective. So how can we support managers, teams, and individuals? So we put together like training hubs for managers. This is how you lead in uncertainty. This is how you lead in a remote context with people in different time zones. But we also had a hub for teams. So this is how you as a team establish a sense of belonging, establish new ways of working. And as with all new teams, you have to invest time in the team contract, if you want to put it that way. How do we hold each other accountable? How do we evaluate the work that we're doing? How do we learn together and those type of things? So like workshops on establishing those team rules. And then for individuals as well, how do you lead yourself? Because everyone is expected to be more or less a CEO in this new context.
Yeah,
you have to lead yourself. If it's self-leadership, if it's something else, you can use many words, but how do you set boundaries? How do you follow up yourself? How do you set actions? How do you avoid procrastination and those type of things? Exactly. So that was the second work stream. And then the third one was like principles, ways of working that we can standardize across the company. Just because we're disconnected from the office doesn't mean that we're disconnected from each other. And we have a bunch of principles tied to that. Like if one person dials into a meeting, everyone dials into a meeting and stuff like that.
Great, fantastic. So curious.
Yes.
You're not only HR and you're not only sort of, the mastermind of the program, together with the rest of the team, right? Important. But curious to also learn, how did you personally experience this? What was your sort of learning journey and experience around this?
You have to be a bit naive to make big changes.
Okay.
Otherwise, you'll get stuck on problems.
Right.
And this spanned across everything that we do as an organization. And most teams, especially in the support functions, like finance and legal and HR and GWS, who runs our offices, and also our strategy teams in how we work and gather data. So it's a huge undertaking. So the why needs to be clear, the direction needs to be clear. Trust in these various teams on solving their issues needs to be there as well. And you have to be a bit naive, otherwise you wouldn't be able to move forward. So maybe it's reinforcement bias or selective biases that, well, it's good that I am naive sometimes. It causes problems, but it's also critical to be able to drive these type of changes. I also made personal changes. Like I moved to a new city, I've started to commute, so I've structured my private life in a different way. So that's been super valuable to myself. Right. So I'm in a better place. I was in a good place. I'm in an even better place today. So that's also a learning from my end. Exactly. Flexibility is good. And last but not least, giving people a choice is important. Yeah. And I think the worry that many had when we moved into this program, that we've now learned wasn't true, was that it's going to be chaos. People will move everywhere. That's not really true. I think 130 people chose to move countries out of our 7,000 employees. That's nothing in the grander scheme. And if you think about it, like uprooting your life, your social life, housing situation, family, schools, whatever you have, that's a big thing. And same thing, that working fully from the office or working fully from the home, those are extremes. Very small parts of our organization chooses either or. The majority wants to be somewhere in between, like 3 days in the office and 2 days at home. So it doesn't create that much chaos. So don't be afraid. Lean in.
Exactly.
Own the change.
Yeah, and be a bit naive.
Exactly, and be a bit naive.
Be a bit naive. Lovely. I think so far it seems like you've had some good learnings. And again, I'm sure it will be very interesting for you to see the results of that survey. And also for us to invite you and maybe also Anna back, where you have that data that we can dive into and see if that changes sort of your approach now going.
I think it will to some extent, and I think now is actually the biggest change, because now is the cultural change. We have changed the mindset, and people are thinking about this in new ways. Everything we build and ship is optimized for us working in this new world that's more virtual versus physical, and that's all good. But now when people start to go back into the office, and we just opened our offices again, and you can see that it's a clear trend that people have to relearn their behaviors. Like, you have to change your morning routine, and it's friction. It's a threshold you need to get past to be able to get into the office. I was late my first day. Things did not plan out as I imagined them to. And I think that goes for a lot of people. But once I got into the office, I also realized how much I missed people, and then that is created. And when I speak to people in the office, they share the same feeling. Like, everyone felt that it's so nice to work from home, but once you get into the office and get back to that experience and remove the friction that you feel initially when you have to relearn, they are excited and they are happy. So I think one learning will be that more people realizes that the office experience is actually pretty nice to have.
And important.
But you want the flexibility, of course, and that's what we need to accommodate.
Exactly. Beautiful. Great ending. Great summary. And thank you so much for sharing with us. This is part 1. Part 2 is coming.
It's coming. Cliffhanger. Stay tuned.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Alex. So you, I think you know how we end these episodes with the 3 things.
I've been practicing in front of the mirror.
Okay. Would you be kind enough to share with us and end the session?
Of course.
Okay, great.
Stay strong, stay active. No, that's wrong.
Okay, which order?
Stay safe, stay active, stay strong. Something like that.
Yeah, it's good. And then the last one.
Yeah. Idemodalje.
Very good, Alex.
Thank you.
That was the only thing that you were thinking about.
I know.
It's so freaking difficult.
Det är det enda jag har tänkt på. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Stay strong. Stay active.
Don't confuse me now.
Always.
Stay safe, stay strong.
Idemodalje.
Just det glömde jag.
Idemodalje.
Idemodalje.
Ja. La. Ja. Det blir bra.
Yes.
Ja.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Inget in i kameran.
Det är bara mina ögon, ska du säga. Ja. Djupt in i ögonen, Alex.
Exactly, you should print it on the wall or something. Men jag har ju min ben åt det hållet också, så det är helt fel sida för mig med. Men jag köper den, för att ditt hår ska vara fint.
Ja, fast om jag ställer mig här, ställ det här då. Det kommer inte bli någon skillnad, tror jag. Eller?
Jag vet inte.
Nej, men benen håller sig ner. Du ska också vara snygg.
Ja, men det är...
Inte bara jag.
Det kändes nästan mer naturligt att stå på den sidan.
Vill du stå här?
Ska vi göra det?
Ja.
What did you spend the most time on prepping the answers? No. What side to stand on?
Stay strong,
my hair.
Stay active.
Exactly.
Look at my hair. Seriously? Let's do this again. Oh.
I think you did better on the other side.
I'm eating my hair. It doesn't work. Yeah, maybe it's better.
Oh, I'm drinking your water now. Sorry.
I have it.
I've taken both. Blushing a bit.
Nej.
Den var inte okej.
Jag orkar inte. I don't mind.
I don't mind either, but I've lick that glass more than this one.
You just
So if
you licked it.
I'm drinking uniquely.
Ja, det är alltid så här.
Hair looks good.
Ja,
That's
det
the
är det
important thing.
viktigaste. Och så gråter jag. Ja. Okej,
Men det är emotionellt.
ja, men du är en viktig person. Du
Ja,
blir
men
ju liksom rörd.
vad snällt.
Ja. Okay. I think we did very well.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Great work.